Welcome to the Franchise Marketer Podcast. I'm your host, Joel Kleber, and today's episode is a replay of me getting interviewed by Glenn Walford from Franchise Buyer, and he's really well known in the Australian franchise marketing community. He's an absolute gun as well, really good fella, good bloke, and we're going to be doing some projects together soon, which I'll tell you about in a minute. But first of all, I just want to say a special thanks to James Riddell from Plumbing Bros. He gave me a really nice shout out and plug for the podcast on his LinkedIn recently, which I really do appreciate. So thanks to that as well. And if you like the show, I want to come on, just send me a DM. Happy to have anyone on in the franchising community or as a marketer as well to talk about what you do. So I've got some really great guests and episodes I haven't released yet lined up, which will be coming out soon as well. And I apologize for being a little bit slack. I've been away recently and just trying to get this in with all the other stuff I'm doing with gyms can be very hard sometimes. So I'm going to ramp that up as well. And I've got some really good episodes in the bank for you too. So this interview I did with Glenn. So Glenn has the Franchise Buyer podcast. He has a whole big, I think it's Franchise Everything podcast as well. He's got a whole bunch of different stuff that he's done over the years. He's a franchising legend and we get along really, really well with our content approach and what we believe that needs to happen with franchise marketing. So he came to the Gyms Group studio. I had some time between what we were doing and he just interviewed me about my story at Gyms Group and how I've done it and how I've grown it over the years. So I'll literally just tell you a bit about my beliefs and about my strategies in this interview as well, with me being interviewed by Glenn. But if you want to use Glenn as well, I'm not plugging him directly, but I'm sort of am, I guess. He's a really good fella, takes the approach that I do at gyms and does it with what he does with Franchise Buyer and Franchise Everything podcast as well. And we've started doing some projects hopefully together. And there's a link where you can, if you go to his profile on LinkedIn, book in for a time with us and see what we can do as well. But that's enough of me rambling. Hope you enjoyed the episode too. And if you do enjoy it, please make sure you leave a review on Spotify, iTunes, or a rating or a follow. Really helps the show.
Hello again and welcome to another episode of the Franchise Everything podcast. We talk about everything and anything franchising. And today I'm at the wonderful Gyms Group in Lilydale in Melbourne. It is. I had to look to you then, yes, Joel, to figure out where I was. And we've got Joel Kleber, the CMO from the Gyms Group. G'day, Joel. How you going?
Yes, thanks, Glenn, for having me on.
Thank you. Thank you for having me in a very different studio than we would normally do. It's your studio.
It is.
That we're having this. This is the Gyms podcast studio.
Yep.
And what's that there?
And that one is the 100K subscribers for YouTube, which was cool. So it was a nice surprise to get that. So
very cool, very cool. So we're going to do a quick podcast on something I think that we've both talked about a bit before and I think is highly valuable, which is effectively the mechanics of growing a franchise like you have done using content. You've almost doubled, well, you have doubled the franchise network's growth in about 5 years, was it? Just quickly
5-6 years,
run through the stats.
2019 is when we started doing content, internal videographer. We started with one guy and from there, we just built everything. So build up the social channels, social media channels as best as we can, and we pump out unique video content every day on multiple platforms.
So we want to sort of uncover that and go through a bit of a playbook on it.
Yeah.
So if a brand's watching this wanting to replicate that type of thing, this is what they're going to need to do to get close. So 2019, what does it look like? So what base did you start from?
Well, we had a Facebook page, we had an Instagram account, we had a YouTube channel, but it had nothing on it. Or there was stuff that was posted years ago. So someone dabbled in video.
You see it a lot, like 6 years ago, a video on something.
And then that was it, right? So we had none of that. So basically, from there, I just took over the social media accounts and then started just building them out with content. And whatever the platforms wanted at the time, what I was telling you to do. So Facebook was saying do live video. Great, we'll do live video, which is a weekly live stream we did with Jim for a long time. And then Instagram, all that sort of stuff, and just started dabbling around in that. And then the content strategy back then was more about recruitment, really focusing on about franchise recruitment because we had
testimonial type stuff and everything.
Yeah, testimonial type stuff too. Long form day on the road where we go up with a franchisee for 3 days on a fencing job and film the whole thing and put that online too. So
it's a lot of editing.
It was a lot of editing for the boys back in the day and had some really keen guys from Swinburne Uni, Jake and Ben, who were fantastic, and they were really good at doing the live component too as well. So we had the Ask Jim studio show, I guess, for since 2019 for me and Jim would sit next to a desk and things like that. But just filming a lot of content out in the field once a day. So we're out in the field, not once a day, once a week we're out in the field, or 2 days in the field a week, and then be editing that and then just pushing it on all the social channels we had at the time.
So I'm interested, so you would be coming to it from a very different place to pretty much every other franchisor who might be watching this. Most of them have only got one brand and they've only got to focus on one brand. How did you approach a content plan and the planning around how many divisions at that time?
Yeah, we had around 50, but it's always changing. But the thing
who gets the priority?
Yeah, well, so for us, I made Gyms Group the priority. So Gyms Group was
the umbrella brand.
The umbrella brand because gyms mowing, divisions will do their own thing, right? So divisions want to do their own content strategy and things like that. So I was like, well, we've got a blank slate here with Gyms Group because no one knows Gyms Group as a brand. So I decided Gyms Group's going to be my parent brand for all the franchise recruitment content for all the divisions and for Jim content himself as well. So I did it all under that. So that was sort of like, that's the franchise recruitment or the franchise brand in a way. So that's morphed since then. There's a whole bunch of different stuff now with B2C stuff. Like we focus more on customers and a whole bunch of different other things. But it started off, Gyms Group was going to be the franchise recruitment brand in 2019.
Okay. So, so what ones were you doing most of the day in the life type content? Were you picking different divisions to do it with then? Or because you started to roll that stuff out?
Yeah. So the longer form stuff, it'd generally be like the divisions who just approached us. So once
I was going to say, is it the proactive ones the ones who win, isn't it?
Proactive ones. They reach out to me. I want to do a day in the life of the mowing franchisee. Fantastic. Let's go do it. Has a really good response. The next division wants to do it or something like that. So yeah, just a matter of divisions who want to use us for content would reach out and we'll be pretty booked as well. Then they get some results from the content, which was great. Then they want to do more stuff too. So we try and also weight it in franchise numbers for the division. So mowing has obviously got 2,200 franchisees. They get more priority than a division with one. So you've also got to try and build them up too. So you've sort of got to manage your time a bit too and focus on those.
So when did you start seeing impact?
Pretty much I reckon it took around a year or two.
So you've said it takes time, and this is the challenge with brands, isn't it? Wanting it too fast.
It took around 12 to 24 months, but I had quick wins, and that was the key. So we do the Ask Jim and some video content, and then the next training, someone would be in and it's literally say to Jim, it was because I watched the Ask Jim or I saw this video, and then that gave us more time to do it. And then the franchisors, because it's a longer time to obviously become a franchisee. Someone's not just going to watch a video, then 14 days later they're in your training.
Yeah.
They might watch you for 6 months or 7 months or 9 months, but they'd tell the franchisor proactively or Jim, I've watched everything, or I've watched you for months before coming in here, or I've watched you for months before making an inquiry. So that takes a time. And then once you get to that 12 to 24 month period, because you've got all that content out there, you just consistently every month having people coming into training, citing all the video content. But we had to get a massive content bank up first to build that trust from an online perspective. And people weren't just watching it for a week. They're watching stuff for 12 to 24 months at a time. It's their life savings they're investing in this franchise. So what can I consume to learn more about it to build trust? And then it was taking 12, 24 months to really then you get that massive growth period.
So it's like that trust engine you have there, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I've always been envious of you. Envious of you in recently when I see you online posting stuff and you say, well, we've got 100 people in training this week or this fortnight or whatever. I thought, man, imagine how much content you could create there. You know, those people on your doorstep, just filtering people through. That's a great opportunity. I mean, most franchisors have 2 or 3 people in training maybe at a time. And also the other opportunities they have are like a quarterly breakfast or national conference. That's pretty much, they're the big content creation opportunities where you've got clumps of franchisees in normal brands in one spot.
Yeah, so the training component itself, there's training content we do. We do a couple of interviews during training and the photos and stuff looks great. But we're sort of lucky because I've been doing it for so long. People know me now. They're way more inclined to reply to me or want to do it as well. We get proactively people wanting to come on the podcast and stuff now, which is great. That wouldn't have happened 3 or 4 years ago. Because we've been kind of so consistent about it, they get very, I don't say jealous, but competitive as well. Like, oh, my story's better than that guy, or I earn more money than that guy, or whatever. And then they'll come on the podcast. So it's been good. And I probably do, 3 to 4 a week now, which is great just from a whole bunch
3
of
4 podcasts.
With franchisees and franchisors. And they've been really good because the franchisors and franchisees support what we do. And they're happy to share their journey as well and understand there's enough work to go around for everyone. So they're more than happy to share it. And from the franchisors, it's been fantastic. So I'm big on franchisor personal branding. I think that's a massive, next 5 years, that's going to be a massive unlock for any franchise brand is the franchise founder story and their separate profile and stuff. So
yeah, and you've been able to achieve that even with, as you've said, Jim's quite introverted, but you've been able to achieve that founder story to really leverage that out. And you've been doing, especially that very recently in LinkedIn, you've had some big successes with that, haven't you?
LinkedIn's been great. Yeah, so I've grown it to like nearly 40,000 followers on connections or whatever on Jim's LinkedIn, and probably since the start of the year, I've taken that a bit more seriously now. But I think it's a massive point of difference. Like, as we know, more people follow Richard Branson than they do Virgin, or follow Tim Cook more than they follow.
It's always the way, isn't it, in LinkedIn? It's like...
Yeah, but not only that, on X and on Facebook and Instagram as well. So founders have got a really good... Like, your brand might not be... Let's face it, some franchise brands you start, your brand might not be that well known in the market, but you can definitely use your story to get people to get more invested in you and your story to then put them across into your franchise system. So we found that even though Jim was known, like other people didn't know he was real and all that sort of stuff, and just by having him as a separate marketing entity, which I use him with his Instagram, TikTok, and LinkedIn, all that sort of stuff. Now we get so much more opportunities via that than what we could even possibly get via the corporate brands and the corporate accounts. So if you're going to grow a franchise, in my opinion, from the start or just even now, you've got all these executives and these founders or these CEOs that you've got these marketing assets of
should leverage off them.
Leverage of them.
Yeah.
If you can do it, have a content strategy for them, not only for your corporate brand and your recruitment side of it, but for them as individuals, which you can use AI and you can batch content and things now to make it a lot easier. But it's just a massive point of difference, which I see not a lot of brands doing. And there's two examples which people should look at. Mike Andes in America, which I've mentioned before. Mike Andes has the personal brand Mike Andes on YouTube, and he has Augusta Lawn Care.
Yep.
And he came over here to do our training and stole a lot of our stuff, and he's in the Australian market now, which is fine. But he goes, no one knows my brand Augusta Lawn Care in America, but they know me as Mike Andes. He goes, my personal brand generates all my franchise recruitment or my franchise locations. It's not my corporate brand. And then you've got guys like, I know Michael Black over here for Success Tutoring's invested a lot in his personal brand now.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of that. Yep.
You've got a lot of rich, successful entrepreneurs who like Nick Bell, David Fogarty, Sabri Subri, these guys now who have got massive content machines as their personal brand, and the amount of opportunities they would get via that personal brand as opposed to their normal businesses would be a lot more. So founder branding and founder personal branding, it might sound a bit woo-woo, but it does work. And
do you think the Australian psyche is a bit is repelled a bit by it? Yep. So individuals are like, oh, it's very Americanized.
Very Americanized. They don't like to self-promote yourself and boasting and all that sort of stuff too. And I think, I do agree with that. I think there's a lot of that. People don't want to promote themselves too much, whereas Americans are way more
They're
personal.
They're
great.
I mean, but I think it's the distinction of it's not putting content out there that's informative, educational, and you're updating people is not actually self-promotion.
No, it's not.
It's people who are engaged and actually want to hear it.
Exactly. But also like, you've got a great franchise product or you've got a great system. People should know about it, right? And what's your perspective on it, right? I don't want to I don't follow the corporate page, but I follow the founder of a lot of different things, right? So they've got valuable things to say. There's so much knowledge in CEOs and executives and founders at brands. There's so much knowledge in them. And as you know yourself from interviewing all those previous people, there's so much good stuff, but I don't know why they don't think it's valuable, or they don't want to promote themselves, or they don't think they'll be good on video, because they absolutely can be.
I just think they don't know where to start.
Yeah.
I reckon people just don't know where to start. And I think you've shown a playbook on where to start with this type of stuff.
Well, the way I do it for Jim is he's a time-poor entrepreneur who's an introvert who hates doing video. So, but he'll answer me questions all the day. So I'll literally just chuck a phone behind him and say, do we take 30% of fees, and then make it as easy as possible. So for people like that who don't know where to start, what's the best format? I think the best format, seriously, just doing what you guys do, is just do an hour-long form interview. Then out of that, you can give it to your marketing team to then create a whole bunch of assets for you, which you can then distribute on LinkedIn or whatever platform you're going to focus on. Repurpose those with AI into written content as well, depending on how many channels you want to focus on as well. Do that consistently. I guarantee you will get something out of it.
And I think that's probably what you've shown. So consistency is an interesting word. The consistency is everything in growing in social with posting and everything. So would you have a target that you were posting over those, say 2019 and moving forward, a target of how many posts per week or something or per day, or what's
it's definitely changed. It's a great question. In the early days, people go, oh, don't post more than once a day, and you'll sort of lose everyone and stuff. Now I'm posting like 8 times a day.
I was going to say, then you got Gary Vee saying 15 times a day. Keep going.
And that's what I've done. I've changed it, because the more you post, the more data you get, the more reps you get as well to get better too. But you get more insights about what works and what doesn't work too. And because with Jim's got so many brands, like you got to promote so many different things. Imagine if I was limited to one post a day about a brand, like it's just so much lost opportunity. So the lifespan of a social post is not that long unless it goes viral, when it can keep delivering over 2 weeks. But if it doesn't hit virality, it disappears in 4 hours or 3 hours, right? So you've got to keep putting things out there and seeing what works, and don't overthink it too much. And I think the beauty for us is I've got a founder. I don't have approvals and stuff I have to worry about. I don't have legal. I don't have all these people involved in what I do. I make mistakes, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong, I get franchise orders at 7 o'clock and 9 o'clock saying, oh, did you think that was the best idea to put that out or whatever? That's died down a bit now, because I know intuitively over the time of what to do for it. But I just think you need consistency over time, and you get volume, and you get all that great data, and you just build that trust up, that trust engine over time, and it just starts flowing with people.
It's interesting. You said before about founder brand and company pages versus personal pages. And I was just thinking about it. It's so obvious. I think a great analogy on it is, if you think about, when you connect with someone on LinkedIn, right? They ask you to connect, and you accept the connection, and then about an hour later you get a request to follow their company page?
Yeah.
No. I mean, how many times do you do that? I'll follow you, but not your company page.
Exactly right. And on LinkedIn as well, it's so much easier to build a profile around a founder or around a personal profile as opposed to a company profile. So I'm actually working on some at the moment with some of the Jim's Mowing franchisors. So I'm going to have access to one of their profiles and do what I've done for Jim, but for the Jim's Mowing franchisor, but they're going to be representative for the mowing division, because it's a far easier way for me to build the mowing profile on LinkedIn with a personal profile as opposed to the company page, unless I, put a lot of effort into that content and paid ads. So yeah, I think it's a really big unlock. LinkedIn's one platform. You could use X. You could use Instagram, which I see a lot of entrepreneurs are using Instagram now with personal branding. I don't see why people in franchising can't do the same approach for themselves. Like Mark Bruce and Janine Ellis are great examples. So, but you've got to be willing to invest in it, and you've got to understand that if you're consistent over 12 months doing that consistent personal branding type content, it really will help your corporate brand. How you can track that's another story. How you can attribute it to that piece of content, but you're influencing people. Yeah. Every day you post content as a CEO, as a founder, you're influencing people. You might not get the clicks for it, but you should be aiming for influence over clicks.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, and that's quality over those sorts of things. Yeah. So for let's say someone is watching this is a franchisor with one brand, okay, just one brand, not have got divisions all over the place. Then, what I see is them struggling for content about topics.
Yep.
So when you talk to other brands, because you're getting a lot of attraction from other brands saying, hey, how do we do what you're doing there? I think you give away too much information, by the way.
True.
So I know, I'm glad you agree, you give away too much. So what do you say to those? So as far as coming up with topics and content, because if they're going to post 2-3 times a day, 4 times a day, their question will be, well, what would I post about?
Well, I reckon it's a good question. I use a lot of negative Facebook comments. Use a lot of negative TikTok comments, which Jim likes answering too. So comments and questions on social ads or whatever, or Reddit. If your brand's big enough to have a Reddit thread where they smash you on Reddit, there's a lot of good stuff.
That's good or bad. There's some brands I've got that we've done some work with past, and I go, oh my God, they get a lot of engagement on YouTube, but it's probably not the engagement you'd want.
Yeah. But you can use those comments and that engagement to then answer questions and have a bit of fun with it too as well. Using LLMs, same thing, ChatGPT, act as a prospect who's looking at this. What would their, what questions would they have about being a franchisee? You can get some good stuff out of that. I'm a bit spoiled. I've been for 14 years, so I hear it all from franchisors, and I actually do a lot of the interviews with franchisees. So I know I ask them like, what questions or what was your concern starting up? And I get all that data in those podcasts, and that shapes my content strategy as well. But I think there's nothing wrong with repeating the same thing over and over and over and over. For us, misconception about fees. People think we take 30-20%, which we don't. We're a flat fee. That keeps coming up. So every week I literally do money. I do the same. It sounds like we're repeating ourselves if you follow our social stuff, but I have to do it because people can't keep answering that question.
Because it's the same question every time.
Same question, yeah. And how much will I earn and all these sorts of things. So you can keep answering the same questions but repackaging them a bit differently or answering them slightly differently as well. And people overestimate how much people like, I've posted this last week, I can't post this again next week because people might get put off by it. No one cares.
I've always been that phrase, I've always been of the thought, nobody cares.
No one cares.
No one cares. Like, you think people care? Like, oh no, we've already put, what about that color? What about that font?
Yes.
No one cares.
You care far more than what your audience does, right? About your Instagram grid and all that sort of stuff. You care far more about it than what your audience does as well. Yeah. So repeat the same thing over and over. It doesn't matter putting out the same thing over and over again. Slight tweaks and variations too, but you've got all the data already, like all the questions that your prospects ask you, all of them can be then, literally what you could do is all the questions that I get asked, let's say if it's 10 questions, go to ChatGPT and say, here are 10 questions, but vary them in 5 different ways or whatever and give me 50 different variations of this or whatever, and then you can get that, and that can be a different video for each one too. So you can use AI to help you a lot, but you've probably already got all the questions and the content from people that are asking you.
Yeah, and I think it came to mind when I was looking at some of those negative comments on some of the YouTube stuff, is that a brand shouldn't be afraid of that stuff if they're actually willing to do something about it. Correct. And I think that's the difference, is that brands will run away from that if they're not prepared to, because like in your case, I watch with you, well, you'll get on and answer it.
Yeah.
Where a lot of brands will just try and hope that goes away.
Yeah.
And not confront it head on and say, hey, that's a problem, we've got to fix it.
People appreciate, like, that's one person leaving that negative comment, right? But maybe 400 people will then read the reply to it. So it's your chance to sort of build some trust in those replies, right? So Reddit, for example, I've created a Joel from Jim's Reddit account and I get smashed on it, but I see a lot of incorrect information there, and as you can imagine, but there'll be people who see that comment, which might get 200 impressions, and then, that's good that they come on and answer this sort of stuff, and then they might become a franchisee, right? And we take questions from Reddit, screenshot them, and get Jim to answer them on different platforms. We've got YouTube videos. Jim takes on Redditors and answers those questions. And we're not making it for the person who leaves a negative comment.
Yeah.
We're making it for the person who sees that and goes, geez, I didn't know how honest and transparent you are. That's one of the most common things we get. Geez, it's great to see a CEO come on and answer questions like this. No one else does it. That's when I see that sort of stuff, it warms my heart, because that's exactly what we're trying to do. And that's how we stand out in a marketplace. And that's how, as a franchise brand, you can stand out in the marketplace. Don't do what everyone else is doing, because you're going to be competing in that same sort of area. How can you stand out? And my opinion is you can stand out with consistent media content on your own personal brand or as your own corporate account, and do it a little bit differently. Don't do the standard 3-minute polished testimonials, which have their place, don't get me wrong, but try and be fun.
Well, I actually hate the phrase testimonial.
Well, testimonial, yeah.
Testimonial is basically, it's inauthentic, essentially.
It is, because people know you're not going to put up a franchise having a bad experience, right? No. So that's why I love long form, because long form, you can't hide that. Like, even though people know they're coming on to talk about being a franchisee, you can't really BS someone in a 30. It's very hard. It would come off as if you're trying to do that.
And I think we should just get out of our heads the phrase testimonial.
Yeah.
I think franchisors should stop thinking about it. I had a brand the other day say, we want like 5 testimonials. I'm like, do we have, really?
Yeah.
You don't really want to tell stories. Rather than do 5 2-minute testimonials, I'd rather do 5 1-hour podcasts with the same person.
People connect with stories more. And you got to remember, like, if they're investing their life savings or a lot of money, like for us, like, we're nowhere near the same level as a quick service restaurant, which might need 300 grand or 400 grand. With us, it's 30 grand. But we've got people watching for years, hundreds of videos.
Doesn't matter, does it? Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that value.
Yeah. But it's like, if they're doing it for a 20 or 30 grand purchasing decision, someone who's making a far higher cost, they're going to consume a lot more. If you've got it there, they'll consume it.
Well, I reckon the far higher cost ones, in my take on psychology on the far higher cost ones, assume more. They assume that assume it must be a good brand. If putting in this, it's got property, it's got everything. There's a lot of assumptions made, where the lower ones you've probably got to build a lot more trust, because the lower the price, I think, the more skepticism.
Well, I've never thought about that, so I'm gonna take that and
take that and do something with it.
Yeah, I will. I've never thought about that, but yeah, because that always surprised me. 20 grand, and they're watching hundreds of videos and things like that. But
that's what I reckon.
Yeah, that's a good point. But I just think, the testimonial, I agree with you. Yeah, you see them on websites and stuff like that, and the 60-second I see them on Facebook ads and stuff like that as well, and I'm instantly put off and buy them. That's just me as well. So I think they're sort of a dying breed, and I think the long form content, getting the inquiry and then distributing in long form content, and that content will then qualify that person for you, because everyone goes, well, we want quality leads, but then we've got nothing for them to consume. So you get the lead, but then what are you going to serve to them? And then your content will then filter the people who are right for your business and come to you, which is what happens with us. So,
as we finish up, your final message to franchisors on content production, how to launch into it.
Start a YouTube channel. YouTube channel is the new trust engine. It's the new trust engine of the internet. YouTube channel's got so many benefits for it. Your videos will live on there for 5-6 years. We've got videos from 7 years ago that still people are watching and then telling us it was that video, the day in the life from 7 years ago, that made them or helped them make the jump. So you're creating these digital assets of gold, really, that can keep delivering you a massive return over time, but you got to create them. And with YouTube channels, people start and stop, and you can see it, and it looks really bad.
Surge content you're talking about,
It looks bad for your brand. Like, I'm going to research your business and go to Google and I see a YouTube video and your last upload was 3 years ago.
Yeah, it normally goes 6 years, and then there's 3 years, and then there's 1 year. So it's
I'm
gradually been closing.
I'm real conscious of that, Glenn. So like we do 3 shorts a day on YouTube.
Yep.
And for discoverability, and we do at least 1 to 2 long. Actually, no, I try and do 1 long form video or 1 like 5-minute or 60-minute or whatever it is video on YouTube channel every second day.
Yep.
So we've got 3 shorts a day on YouTube, and then we've got every second day we've got a long form or a video like 3 or 4 minutes on our YouTube channel. That's just for Jim's group. Then we've got Jim's mowing, and that doesn't even take into account TikTok, X, LinkedIn, all these other platforms, and the content's a little bit different on those platforms too. So if I was going to make a suggestion to someone, I would say just pick a platform and start. It would be definitely YouTube. I think it gives you the best.
Build your foundation
there. Build your foundation, best SEO benefit. That's going to get crawled, and you can repurpose that content, a whole bunch of different other things as well. And everyone in our training watches the YouTube videos, and they watch it and they consume it. And then the second thing would be a founder brand, a personal brand, and pick a platform. So if you've got a CEO in the business who allows you to use their account to then post things, just try it. You'll get people in there as well. And the great thing about LinkedIn is they're all your ideal franchisees are on LinkedIn. They're all there. All the people you want who are quality professionals or have got a bit of money to invest, or they're at their late stage in their life, they need to make a shift.
Yep.
And they can you can reach all those people on that platform. So that'd be my sort of 2 places to start.
2 big takeaways.
Yep.
Great, Joel.
Cool.
Thanks, mate. Thanks for telling us how you've done it.
Ta.
Thank you. Hope you enjoyed this one. Plenty in that one for you to take away and get action on. Hope you enjoyed this again, and thanks for joining us on this Franchise Opening Podcast. Catch you the next one soon.